Allah is Al-Jabbar. Al-Jabbar can be interpreted in many meanings. One of the meanings of Al-Jabbar is that nothing happens in his dominion except what he willed. This whole universe is created by Allah Azza wa Jal. The angels are created by Allah. Humans are created by Allah. Jinn are created by Allah. Everything you see a leaf of a tree falls off by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The waves of the oceans and seas are moving by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wind is moving. Every drop of rain is falling by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So nothing happens in the dominion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outside the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. Whatever Allah willed shall happen. So everything in this universe that is happening, whether it is good or evil, it's happening by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. We do not object to Allah Azza wa Jal for creating Satan, Iblis, the head of blasphemy. And that's Satan. Allah created him. Allah does whatever He wills. Allah created paradise and hellfire before creating human beings and jinn, because Allah willed for some of His slaves to be believers and for others to be non-believers. We do not object to Allah because we all belong to Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah does whatever He wills in what He owns subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because we are all owned by Allah Azza wa Jal, even if we obey Allah and Allah tortures us on the day of judgment, Allah wouldn't be unjust to us. But Allah promised by His grace that those believers will be in paradise. And Allah threatened by His justice that the non-believers will be in hellfire. So the believer receives enjoyment in paradise by the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal. The non-believer is tortured in hellfire by the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the meanings of Al-Jabbar, that nothing happens in His dominion except what He willed. It has another meaning, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sustains the needs of the creations. Sustains the needs of the creations. Or the one who subjugated the creations for whatever He predestined for them. You cannot avoid your destiny. You cannot avoid your destiny. You are led to your destiny by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll give you one example. A person for 20 years used to work with his brothers in a shop. They had a trade and they used to work together for 20 years, and that's expected. If they were to go to the work, they take the shortest way. The shortest way to work. That's common sense. They're not gonna take the further route to get to the workshop. So they take the shortest one. After 20 years, one of them said, I feel I want to go that way. He wants to change. After 20 years. So he chose another way, he selected another way. As he was trying to cross the street, a bus came and hit him and he died. So he was led to his what? Fate. So he did that by his choice. He chose to go that way, but this is what Allah predestined for him. So we are subjugated by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that even when we make a choice, voluntary choice, voluntary will, it's subject to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we as Muslims have this habit to say, if I want to do something the following day or to visit someone, whatever it is, a person would say to another person, I'll see you tomorrow, insha'Allah. We always make it subject to the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. Insha'Allah. Because if Allah didn't will for me to come to that place at that time, I won't be able to, no matter what. No matter what. You might be studying for the HSC exams, very hard, and you say, I want to get in 90s, band 6, studying very hard. Then you keep all night awake, studying, you pray Fajr, then you feel a bit tired, then you say, I'll sleep now for 1 hour, I'll put the alarm on, then I'll wake up after that and go and do the exam. You might sleep in and you miss the whole exam and you take 0 instead. This could happen. So what was your will? To get band 6. But you slept in, you didn't wake up. So we are subjugated by the will and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot make one move without the power of Allah. So that's one of the meanings of Al-Jabbar. We are dominated, controlled, subjugated by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for whatever has been predestined for us. For whatever has been predestined for us.